welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Bailey. This is my channel, Bagel's Books. I named it that because that is just a nickname I have, Bagel, so please call me Bagel. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to start this channel. I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a while now, but I've been in nursing school and I just got out last week, so I was like, now is the time. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I love reading, especially during COVID. I read a lot. I watched so many booktube videos, and now I'm obsessed with YouTube, and I watch videos all the time. So that is why I wanted to start my own. For this first video, I'm going to do the mid-year book Freakout tag, just because I feel like it'll kind of give you an overview of stuff I've read, what I like, what I don't like, and it's not the middle of the year. I realize that. It's August, but it's what I want to do. And that way, it'll be a nice overview of what I've read. And I have plenty of plans for afterwards. If you have any suggestions or ideas, please let me know. I would love any suggestions you have. I have everything written down on my notebook in my lap, so if I look down, that's why. So for the first question of the tag is, what is the best book you've read this year? And so mine would be The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I realized this book came out a really long time ago, and I've read some books by Maggie Stiefvater before, but I've never read these. There's one booktuber, Paperback Dreams. She talks about this book, and so that was kind of like the first I'd ever really heard of it. I never read it. I tried to read it a little in 2020. I got like the ebook from Libby. I read a chapter or two and then just kind of never picked it up again. And then I'm pretty sure I tried reading it again once, and I just didn't really get into it. And then I started going on walks with my dog, and I saw the audiobook was available, and I was like, I'll give it a go again, because I was kind of been wanting to get into fantasy. And so I was like, I'll try it again. People really love it. Like, I'll try it. And so I listened to it, loved it. I don't know how I didn't enjoy it before, or like what stopped me from reading it in the past, but I loved it. I finished listening to it, and then I went and bought it and read it physically immediately afterwards. Like, I've never done that in my life, and I love this book so much. I bought all the rest of the series. Kind of scared to read them because I'm just afraid they're not going to be as amazing as this book was, which is frightening. But I do plan on reading them hopefully soon. This is just about a girl. Her mom is a psychic, and they live in this town, and then she's told all growing up, like, if you kiss a boy, like your true love, he'll die. And so she never kisses anybody. And then one day she like runs into these boys in her town. They're called Raven Boys because of the school they go to. The mascot is like a raven, so they wear a raven on their vest. And she runs into this group of boys, and she starts hanging out with them, and they get into a bunch of mischief, I'll say. But it's kind of more supernatural than fantasy. But it's still really good. I loved it so much. The best sequel I read was Waking Gods. So that's the second one to Sleeping Giants. And I listened to both of those on Libby as audiobooks, like at work and stuff. And they were incredible. They were incredible audiobooks. If you want to read the books, listen to them as audiobooks because it's a full cast, narration. There's a scream at one point where the actress actually screams like bloody murder. And I was at work listening to it, and I freaked out because I thought somebody at work was screaming and someone was dying, but it was just the book. Like, it's just so good. I felt so immersed in the story. A lot of people don't like the third one in the series. I liked it fine. Like, I didn't like it as much as the first two, but I still really enjoyed the whole series, and I highly recommend the whole series. It's about this girl when she's young. She's riding her bike in the forest, and she like falls into this hole, and she lands on this huge hand, and it's like a robot hand. And so when she grows up, she somehow gets in charge of like finding the rest of the body parts, digging them up, building this robot, and just kind of figuring out why it's there, where did it come from, what does it do. It was just really good, and I loved the story because it's done in like interview format. And like I said, it's a full cast, so it's just really easy to tell the difference, and it's just done so well. Highly recommend. And I loved the series. A new release you want to read. I'm so excited for this book. Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I love Blake Crouch. I would die for Blake Crouch. He wrote Dark Matter and Recursion, and those are my favorite books ever. I think they're my favorite books ever written. They're amazing. They're so well done. They're sci-fi thrillers, and they're incredible. He also wrote The Pines, and I did like that book. It's a series. I only read the first one. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't near as good as Dark Matter and Recursion. I have no idea what this book's about, and I don't care. I don't care at all, because I'm going to read it no matter what. Because I love him, and I love his brain and his ideas. They're incredible. I don't understand how this man thinks of the things he puts in these books. I'm just so excited. I cried when I got this book. It was a Book of the Month book, obviously. When I saw it was a Book of the Month book, I cried, as I said. I immediately put it in my cart, checked out, and I was like, yes, I cannot wait. I'm so ecstatic. And then I forgot to look at all the other books, or like the add-on books. And then I looked a few days later, and I was like, crap, I kind of wanted some of those other books. But I was just so excited for this book that I put it in my cart immediately, and I said check out, and I want it at my house in 2 days. And it's beautiful. I can't wait. I really hope it's amazing. I just watched a video this morning, and Katie Colson said she didn't like it. And I'm very afraid. But I've seen some other people say they like it. And I think I'm going to love it because I just love Blake Crouch. And I love him, and he can do no wrong in my eyes. But I'm very, 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 very excited about this book. I could cry right now just thinking about it, honestly. So excited. Okay, most anticipated release for the next half of the year. Iain Reid is also one of my favorite authors. He wrote I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and that book blew my mind. It was incredible. It was the most eerie book I think I've ever read. The whole time I was like, what is going on? Like, that is the only thing I was thinking while reading that book is like, what is happening? What is going on? This book is spooky. I don't know. And then the end blew my freaking mind. It blew my mind. If people saw the ending coming, touche. You're a genius. Nobel Prize. Freaking Albert Einstein. It was so good. And so when I saw he was coming out with another book, I was like, I'm going to get it. I have no idea what it's about. Once again, I don't care. I want to read it. Going in blind, because that's what I did with I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And it was my favorite book ever. Not my favorite book ever, but it was one of my favorite books. Like, I have forced many people to read it because it is so good. The TV show or the movie on Netflix sucks. Don't watch it. But the book is incredible. If you watch the movie and was like, this movie is crazy, I will never read the book. Read the book anyway because it's different and it's amazing. And the movie sucked. Sorry. If you like that movie, you're wrong. Iain Reid also wrote another book called Foe, I believe is what it's called. I haven't read that book yet. I look for it every time I go to Barnes & Noble, and it is never there. So I need to just order it. But I really want to read that book as well, even though it came out, I think, before I'm Thinking of Ending Things. But I could be wrong. Another book I want to read that is supposed to come out this month, actually, in August, is All Good People Go Here. So that book is by Ashley Flowers, and Ashley Flowers does the podcast Crime Junkie. I'm obsessed with Crime Junkie. I've been listening to Crime Junkie for years. I have multiple Crime Junkie shirts, a Crime Junkie mug. I think that's it. But I love Crime Junkie so much. I love Ashley Flowers, and I'm just so excited to read that book. I pre-ordered it, so it should be here on the release date, which is, I don't know when it is actually. But I'm very excited about that book. I hope it's amazing because she does so much research into true crime things. Like, I feel like she knows everything. Like, it has to be amazing. But I'm so excited for it. All right. The biggest disappointment. Okay. This book is 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. That book was terrible. I don't know how that book became released. I don't think I've heard of a single human being that likes that book. It is terrible. Peter Swanson, first of all, he did this before. He wrote a book called, can't remember, 8 Perfect Murders. And it is about this guy who finds 8 books that have really good murders in them, and they get away with these murders. So he's like, I'm going to do these murders, these 8 perfect murders, and kill these people based on the plots of these books, which is like a smart idea. Like, it sounds good in theory. Like, I did enjoy that book, but it spoiled a lot of books that I have not read, which was unfortunate. But it had an Agatha Christie book in that it spoiled. I won't tell you which one. But, so then he writes this book called 9 Lives, and it is a ripoff of And Then There Were None, which is fine. I've heard of books that are somewhat based off of Agatha Christie. She's a queen. Like, she can do no wrong. Her books are amazing. But he ripped it off in a way that was, it was the same exact thing, first of all. And then he talked about And Then There Were None and Agatha Christie so much in this book. The book he was ripping off, that book. He talked about the book he was ripping off. So that part I didn't get, why he was talking about it so much, but it was terrible. And then he said the N-word twice. I listened to this book on audio. Like, I could not have physically read it. And the only reason I finished it is so that I could rate it 1 star. It was awful. Like, I was texting my friend while I was listening to it, and I was like, this is the worst book I've ever read. Don't read it ever. She's like, why are you listening to it then? I said, because I want to give it 1 star so bad, I'm going to suffer through the end. And then it was terrible, as I assumed it would be. It was awful. But I have liked Peter Swanson books in the past, so I'm just upset because I hated that book. I hated every value break. I think I gave that 2 stars at least. 9 Lives got 1. I liked 8 Perfect Murders, other than the spoiling, but I liked it just fine. I'm heated about that, but I will probably read another book he writes. I won't buy it. I'll get it off of Libby for free because I've hated the last 2. The biggest surprise was this book by Heather Gudenkauf. It's These Things Hidden. First of all, it has deckled edges and I'm obsessed with it. It's beautiful. The reason I say it's the biggest surprise is because I've owned this book since 2015. I have had this book for 7 years. I have moved with it multiple times and never read it. And so I read it this year. For some reason, I just got a wild hair and was like, I'm going to read that book that's been on my shelf for a million years. And it was so good. Like, no, it's not the best book I've ever read, but I really, really liked it. I sped through it. It was just, has short chapters, different point of views. It was just so good. I loved the end. I did not see the end coming, which I love. Even though I'm very bad at guessing endings, so if I can guess the ending, it's probably not a very good book. But it's just a surprise to me because, like, I've had this book on my shelf for 7 years staring at me and I never read it. And then when I did, it was so good. Like, I could have read this book 7 years ago. It's crazy to me. But it was very good. I've already made one of my friends read it. It's just really good. And it's very old, I think. I've heard of the author, but I had never read anything by her. I picked this up at a thrift store. I, like, read the back of it, and I was like, that sounds good. And then never read it. This book is about a woman who went to prison for killing her baby when she was 16 or 17. She was very young. This is her years later getting out of prison and just kind of her life after that. And it kind of does flashbacks to the night she was arrested and all of that. And there's 4 point of views. So, in like each chapter, some of them are like a paragraph. Like, it's crazy. It's like, this is a chapter. Boom. And so it's tiny chapters like that. You can just like whip through it. But yeah, it was a very good book. Favorite new author? Krystal Sutherland. Never heard of her in my life. I just randomly was on Libby one day. I saw House of Hollow, which is the book I read. And it's such a beautiful cover, first of all. And I'd kind of see people talk about it. And I was like, oh, I'll read a YA. Like, they're kind of more easy to consume. I was at work. I was like, I'll read it. So good. The writing was beautiful. It's like a YA horror. It was just really good. Very descriptive, very beautiful. I loved it so freaking much. That is about these 3 sisters. When they were young, they went missing. They have no idea who took them, and they just like appeared back later. I think it was a month later. They just appeared back a month later. They don't remember anything from that month. They don't know who took them, where they went, how they got back to where they were. They were just gone off the street and then appeared back on the street a month later. And so that's kind of a mystery throughout the whole story. When they came back, their hair was a different color. They acted different. They were just not themselves. And then this is years later. The youngest is in high school. The eldest is gone. But in the present tense, the eldest sister has gone missing. So it's about the two other sisters, like, trying to find their sister, trying to find out what happened. But it also is, like, doing flashback to the past of what happened then, and them trying to figure out, is the sister going missing now connected to back to what happened then? Did the same person take them? It's just really good. It's very spooky, a little gory, but it was so good. Highly recommend that book. She's coming out with another book either later this year or the beginning of next year. I don't remember it. I'll try to find the name. I'm very excited for that book. I can't wait. I might buy House of Hollow because it's just beautiful, first of all. And it was incredible. New fictional crush. I love romance books. They're so cheesy and wonderful, and I love cheese. This is The Kiss Quotient by Hoang. Amazing. This book has been out for so long, and a really good friend of mine talks about it. Like, she read it a long time ago and told me it was so good, so good, so good. And then a YouTuber I like, Noelle, she loves this book. And so I bought it when Noelle was talking about it, because I was like, well, my friend liked that book. Noelle says it's amazing. And so I bought it. It is so good. Probably one of the best romance books I've ever read. I loved it so much. It's very steamy. So if you don't like steamy, don't read it. It's very steamy. But I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. So he's my new crush. This guy, his name's Michael. So this book is about this girl. She is autistic. She never really been in a relationship. She's never had sex. And her mom is trying to, like, set her up with a bunch of people to be in a relationship with, and she doesn't want that. She's very career oriented. She's very driven. Doesn't have time for that. So she hires an escort to teach her how to have sex, so she can get a boyfriend, so her mom will get off her back. Well, they fall in love. Obviously, it's a romance. I'm not spoiling anything for you, but he is just adorable. Their relationship is so cute. I love it so much. It's beautiful. Love it. And I haven't read any of the other ones in the trilogy because they're different people, so I don't know how I feel about them, but I might read them. But maybe not. New favorite character. Watney from The Martian by Weir. He is hilarious. This book is so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. It was just incredible. Obviously, this is a movie. It's a great movie. I'd watch the movie. My boyfriend loves this book, and he's been begging me to read it for years. So I finally read it, and it's incredible. I loved it. I loved it so freaking much. It's just hilarious. And that's why he's my favorite character, because he's so funny. In the most dire situation ever you could ever imagine, he's just cracking jokes left and right. Literally, let me read you the first line. I freaking died. Let me get there. There's also a map. Beautiful. Love maps. It says, "I'm pretty much fucked." That is the first sentence. Hilarious. It is just so funny. I love this book. It's so good. And then the next one is The Book That Made You Cry. Also this book. This book is so good. It's funny, it's heartwarming, but the end made me cry. Cry. I loved it so much. It's the only book that made me cry this year, which is why I picked it. I was trying not to put two books, I try not to repeat books, but no other book made me cry. This book is the only one. It's so freaking good. I love it. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry. It's sci-fi, it's beautiful, wonderful. I guess I'll tell you what it's about. It is about, if you don't know, for the love of God, a lot of people should know. But it is about Mark Watney. He's an astronaut, obviously, on Mars. A big storm hits Mars while him and his crew are on the planet. And then so they're trying to leave and get onto the spaceship and abort mission. And he gets hit with like a flying pole or something. I don't remember. It's like super windy. He gets hit with something. Well, it hits his suit in just a way that it hit the vitals thing, and so his whole crew thinks he's dead. They watched him get hit. His vitals thing said 0, so they think he's dead. So they leave him, and then he wakes up a few days later and realizes he's stranded on Mars, and they've all gone. Took the spaceship, took his means of communication, I think it's called the Hab, whatever they live in. needs some repairs, and he, luckily for him, he's a botanist, so he figures out how to plant vegetables, grow vegetables on Mars, so he can live. And it's just really good. Most of it is him, just like his entry of what he's doing for the day, how he's doing the math to figure out how to live. It's very scientific, but Andy Weir explains it so well. And I do realize it sounds boring, like this man by himself on Mars. That's what I thought too. But there are chapters that are the United States, kind of after the other crew gets back, them realizing he was on Mars, them trying to communicate with them, and then them trying to save him. So it is very, very good. What's next? A book that made you happy. So a book that made me happy was one to watch. I don't remember who it's by. Oh, Kate Stayman-London. Yes. This is a romance book. It is very, very cute. I listened to it as an audiobook on my walks with my dog, and it is very reminiscent of The Bachelorette. So it is a plus-size fashion blogger who goes on this show. The Main Squeeze is what it's called, but it's pretty much The Bachelorette. And it's kind of a social experiment to see how it would work with a plus-size woman, because obviously The Bachelorette is all these beautiful, skinny gals. And so they want to switch it up a bit and see how that goes. Of course, there's some asshole guys. It is what it is. But it's a romance. Obviously, it's The Bachelorette. It's her falling in love with these guys. And it's really good. Like, it's not the best romance I've ever read or anything, but it was super cute. I love The Bachelorette. And it felt like I was watching an episode of The Bachelorette when I was listening to it. Like, it was very descriptive. It was just really good. It made me laugh. I really enjoyed it. It was very cute. The most beautiful book that you have bought this year. I've bought a lot of books, and a lot have been pretty, but I am going to say, I literally just bought this book too. Anatomy of Love Story by Dana Schwartz. It is a heart. It's a woman. Her dress looks like a heart. I am obsessed with hearts, and it's just stunning. Like, I have no idea what it's about. I'm assuming it's a romance because it says a love story. But I just think the cover is so beautiful. Oh, stunning. But yeah. I believe Katie Colson said that this book was good. And then I was like, well, she likes it and it's beautiful, I'm gonna buy it. And it's just stunning. I'm just gonna leave it like this because it's so pretty. You need to look at it the whole time. Once again, I have no idea what it's about. And a book that you want to read by the end of the year. That's very hard for me. I want to read all my books all the time. Like, I wish I could just consume books in the blink of an eye and read everything at one time. It is so hard for me to pick the next book I'm going to read because I want to read everything. I want to read everything. But I had to pick one. So I picked Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, because Gillian Flynn is one of my favorite authors. Her book, Dark Places, was my favorite book before I read Dark Matter and Recursion by Blake Crouch. It's still, Dark Places is up there for me. But I've read Dark Places, Sharp Objects, The Grown Up, her short story. I just haven't read this one yet because I watched the movie, and it's a thriller. Like, if you know the ending, it kind of ruins it. But it's been so long since I've watched the movie. I think it'll be really fun to read now, because I don't remember everything. I obviously remember the really big stuff, but I'm hoping it's been so long I won't remember too much and it'll still be really enjoyable. And I just really love Gillian Flynn, and I really, really need her to write more books because she's amazing, incredible. All of her stuff has been adapted into movies or TV shows, except The Grown Up, to my knowledge. But she's just so good, and I need her to write more, like Gillian Flynn. Please! So I really, really want to read this so that I can say I've read all of her books because I love her so much. But yeah, that is Gone Girl. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this book's about. This guy's wife goes missing, trying to find her. Everyone thinks he killed her. Classic. The partner did it. Very, what's that one guy's name? Peterson. You guys know what I'm talking about. That Peterson guy whose pregnant wife went missing. No, she did. And they think it was him. Man, I can't remember his name. But this reminds me a lot of that. It's a very, very popular thriller book. I love thrillers. It's kind of It doesn't look like it with this stack, maybe, but I do love, love, love thrillers. They're probably my favorite. I'm getting into sci-fi and fantasy, and I do enjoy romance, but I do just love me a good mystery thriller. A good whodunit. What happened? If a book can make me just want to like read through it really fast, I love that. I love me a fast-paced book. So, well, that is all for my mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like some of these books and they seem intriguing to you. Let me know if you've read any of them or if you want to read any of them. If you have any suggestions for me, for books, for videos, anything like that. But thank you so much for watching. Bye. But it's very good. So this is my plant, Delilah. She's beautiful. It's a string of hearts. I just got her recently. She's a little baby bud right there. And then this is my plant. His name's Gollum because that is the kind of plant he is. He is a jade golem, and I just liked that name so much, I named him Gollum. And this is a picture of a pickle reading a book in front of their bookshelf. It is stunning, beautiful. My friend Jamie gave it to me. It's like a watercolor. I love pickles, and I obviously love reading, or we wouldn't be here right now. But it is beautiful, and there's a plant. It's just so beautiful. I got this frame. I love it so much. Okay,